All right. We are live. It looks like. All right, cool. What's up, everybody? All right. Let me start this other one. And we'll get going here. Okay, start recording. I think I need to turn this off though, so I don't get an echo. Okay. There we go. All right. What's going on, everybody? Rich the Architect back here again for another episode of Life Experiences with Rich the Architect. Today, I want to talk actually a little bit about building bridges that are on fire. And what that really means is over time relationships, you're going to have disagreements with people, and, some are minor, some are major. And in the past, I had an experience from happened last week to me, but then also another experience, or actually another new project that came to me about a month or so ago. Both of these experiences ended up being referred. Somebody referred me to to somebody who was looking for an architect. And both of these referral sources were from people that I had some major disagreements with in the past. So, so I wanted to just talk a little bit about, not specifics necessarily about those other, why there were disagreements, but more about, either maintaining or kind of building that relationship back up from that experience, or the other. In this most recent case, it just kind of came out of the blue. It wasn't somebody I had a relationship with. It was and wasn't even looking to have a relationship with, but would be willing to have that, open up that channel of communication again after a major, I wouldn't call this one a major disagreement, but there was, a disagreement there in the past. So let's just, let me flip over to, just pause this real quick on the audio side here. And we'll be right back after these ads. All right. Well, you know what? I gotta write this here. If you watched this video before, a little bit of behind the scenes, episode 65 intro. Oh, there. Episode. I cannot spell episode. There we go. 65 intro. Boom. Done. In. All right, let's get back to it. All right, so the as I was mentioning, there was some there's two instances I've had related to new projects in the past few months. One being last week, where someone who I've had disagreements with in the past have reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have such and such a, I have somebody here. They're looking for an architect. And let me also say that in both of these cases, these are people who are also architects, or have are involved with an architecture firm. So, they, in case, well, the case of the most recent one. So I'll go a little bit more into detail with this one. So there was an individual who I had worked with at an architecture firm. It was actually the last architecture firm I worked for prior to starting my own firm. And we 14 years ago or whatever, I was newly licensed at this firm, and I was given a project where I was the project architect. Kind of that's kind, once you become a licensed, you can become a project architect on a project. And I was I didn't even have a team. For the majority of that project, it was just, I was doing everything for going to the meetings, doing the drawings, everything. And, that's a whole other topic of, you know, it was a little frustrating because I'm like, hey, I looked at other projects of similar size and I was not being, I mean, there might be 3 people on a team on some of these other projects. And I was just like, it was just myself. But then near the end of it, where there was, the final push to get the drawings out and stuff, they gave me this one guy who came on. He was I actually found out last week. I thought he just came out of college, but he had worked somewhere else prior. He may have been like 2 years out of school or something. But I just thought I remember he joined that firm around, I'm recording this at the end of May. So he joined the firm around, end of May, early June. So I just assumed he was, a college graduate, just kind of, graduated from college, maybe took a few weeks off, and then started his first job out. But I'd come to find out last week that was not the case, but still, like maybe, less like 2 years of experience or something like that. When he joined this firm. So he was, he was working under me, and we had a disagreement in terms of there were certain things that I wanted him to put on drawings, and he was actually being like, he wouldn't do it. Like he didn't agree with, the process or procedures or whatever. And part of that, and it was actually very frustrating on my part, because I'm like, look, just change these drawings and, and then we can move on. But he wouldn't, he purposely would not change it. He purposely wouldn't do something I was asking him to do. And it got to a point where we were, I would say, very close to having a physical fight. On my part, I was like ready almost to that part where we were kind of like face to face at one point. There was just it was a discussion, something was said. I remember I kicked the file cabinet that was at my desk and like ran right up to him, and got loud and everything like that, and things kind of calmed down. We're separated, and and we ended up finishing the project, working together, but wasn't the best of relationships there. But and I don't think the rest of the time I was there at that firm that we had worked together on any other projects. So that was that, and then we, obviously it eventually got laid off from that project. And there was I remember there was not necessarily a run-in with him, but there was somebody I knew who owns a firm, and he called me because I think the guy had like sent him a resume and asked about him. And, I kind of told him my experience and everything. And I know he didn't hire him, but other than that, I had no interaction in the past like 14 years or whatever it's been since having 13 years, I guess. Yeah, it's about 13 years since I stopped working at that firm. So, but then just the other day I get a call, there's a message, and it's him, and he's saying like he had a project, or he has a client who has a project in New Jersey. He's not licensed in New Jersey. Ends up it's in my hometown. So he was online looking for architects in my hometown. Of course I pop up, and I mean, literally, well, I'll get to it about what the project actually is. But he just calls me out of the blue and says, hey, I literally was just like, this is so and so. Even like ended, I have this project. I'm not licensed in New Jersey. and even ended it with like, maybe you'll call me back. I'm not sure, because again, we were not, I had no interaction with the guy for the past like 13 years. So I call him back, and he basically it's like he started the conversation with like addressing that issue in a way. He didn't specifically say, "Hey, I know we had that fight or whatever," but he did say, "Hey, I know we've had our disagreements in the past, and and I was like, look, it's just water on the bridge. It's what 13, probably actually that incident was like 14 or 15 years ago. I'm like, we both have grown from that. I mean, there's no need to like really even like worry about, like even discuss it. It is what it is. We were younger, and whatever. So we moved on, and he told a little bit about the project, and I'll get that in a second. But then the other part of it, of our discussion, he started telling, because I think I got laid off, like, let's say June of '08, and I think he said he was there until February of '09. So he started actually telling me about some things that were happening on in that firm where you know people were like talking about me, bad talking me, saying certain things, and I just was like, look, to be quite honest, like some of the people that he was mentioning and all that doesn't surprise me at all. And but again, I just was like, I don't care. Like it doesn't matter. It's been so long ago. Why would I want to like even like, I mean, I didn't say this to him, but this is what I'm thinking. I'm just like, why am I going to waste time and energy thinking about some person who said something bad about me that's not even true, it was just like it was basically opinions about like my skill level and all that. I mean, I did defend myself a little bit. Like there were certain things that he was telling me, like they were like, oh yeah, Rich thinks he knows so much, blah blah blah, this and that, and I was just like, oh well, that topic that you're bringing up, where somebody is giving that, I was like, here's the proof that actually I did the correct thing, and here's the technical thing about it, or here's whatever it was, so. um I mean, I think that's the other part. It was like some of the things he was telling me, I was like, well, it's not even really true. And here I can kind of back it up, and so it didn't really phase me with some of that stuff. So, but that being said, it's like, again, why spend the time worrying about stuff like that? It's not gonna help me in any way. It's actually gonna kind of slow me down. So he so we kind of had that as part of a conversation, but then we moved on. Like I said, he had mentioned the project, and the funny thing about the project is that the project's like literally right around the corner from my office here, and the client is someone who's buying a property, and ends up he's buying a property off of a client of mine, and it's a project that I've done drawings on. So it's actually a project I've already had, a building I've already have experience with. And this, I'm not hired yet, but I did have a discussion already. This potential client is buying the property. I believe he closes next week, so he said he's going to contact me once he owns the property. And I'm pretty sure he'll call me back because I have drawings for it. I have drawings that are actually like, he's already told me what he wants to do with the building, and I'm like, yeah, I worked on a concept very similar with the guy you're buying the property off of. So I already have drawings for that. So it's like, there's such a head start for this potential this new owner for this property. So so we'll see where that goes. But it's like, if I could have easily in this situation just like never called the guy back. I'm like, screw this guy. He's like, he was, we had whatever our run-ins in the past. So it's like, I could have done that, but here we are. No, I, did reach out to him. It didn't really like, just didn't let that, whatever happened in the past didn't bother me. And then it ends up being a project that I have, I've already done something with, and I go by it every day to get here to the office. And it's one of those things. It's like an abandoned house at this point. The building had a fire, and it's like I was like, oh man, I really like would, I'd like to finish what I started. Well, now here's an opportunity for me to finish what I started. So it's like if I would have just been like, nah, forget it, I'm not going to do that. Then I would never had this potential opportunity to finish this, finish this project that I drive by every day to get to my office. And so, so by not, burning that bridge, or, or just at least being willing to build that bridge back up, it's offered me this opportunity. So I think there's, a very good lesson learned there in terms of like, not burning all the bridges. Um, on the, then there's this other project I wanted to mention. Let me just take a quick sip of water here. So I had somebody else, and I'm not going to really jump into this one, but into specifics, but somebody else who I've had disagreement with too. And over the years, I've made an effort to reach out to them and meet, and like basically I remember it was like, heck, it might have been like within maybe whatever the incident that happened, maybe a year, maybe two. I don't remember specifically when it was. Wait, hold on. I can do the math here. It was probably like 2 years after the incident, because I remember it was the first time I reached out to them, and we ended up having lunch or dinner or something. But it was that was definitely 2 years after the incident. So and there was, reached out here and there, and I mean, not like every day or every week or anything like that, but there was our paths crossed here and there, and then like I guess maybe about 2, maybe 3 months ago, I got an email from this guy, and it ended up being one of these things where it was somebody he had a relationship with, but very similar to the first story I told you. It was a project that not a project in my town, but it's a project in like the next town over. And they knew that I was close by, and they didn't have the the work, or well, the workload was like pretty overloaded, so they didn't have the ability to take on a new project. Or whatever, not the ability, but they had too many projects going on. So they referred me to this guy, and so again, and it's an actual real project. It's a project that I got hired for. I'm currently working on. So again, if I would have not, this particular client also, it definitely looks like it's one of these things where it's going to be he is kind of like a builder, he flips houses, things like that. So this could be one, the first of potentially more than one projects going with this guy. So we'll see where that goes. But again, if I would have like totally been cut this other guy off, the one who referred me to this client, this opportunity may have not presented itself. So it does pay to do that. Now, I do think that it's not to say like you keep keep the avenue of communication open up to like everybody, because there definitely are individuals that I'm not gonna like reach out and all that. But there's like the one I was just saying from last week. I tell you, this time last week, I'm not even thinking about the guy. It's not like something I necessarily would have been open to, but if the opportunity comes around, just to be open enough to have that dialogue, to have that, some level of communication. is very important. Because I think if you like totally want to cut everybody off, it's funny. Like if you think about kind of this, you know, political or social climate that's going on right now. I think there's a lot of like, what they call echo chambers going on. So like if you're on, definitely like like social media, you can almost by default, your social media can be catered to whatever your thoughts are. There was that like Netflix documentary, I forget what it was called, about how like the algorithms of social media can give you that echo chamber. And it's like, that can be problematic. It's like if you're only having those communications with, the people you like, or the thoughts that you agree with, it's not healthy, to be quite honest. And if you're not open to having conversations with, people you've had disagreements with in the past, or people that have beliefs that differ from you, then I don't think it's a healthy way to live. And so I'm hoping, you know just this, quick story I've had here. It's I'm actually, it's funny. I'm actually thinking about, clients that I've had disagreements with. There are clients that I won't do business with. But at the same time, well, I can think of one. I forget what episode it was, but there was one episode I had, maybe like 15 or something. And you know what? I could probably just put that episode in like the show notes. But I had it was a great project, but it was a bad client, and it got to the point where that client, I kind of, I guess in some ways, fired. Um, and I remember, and I may have even said it in that episode, but I remember at the tail end, kind of like after everything was bad in that project, and we had our disagreements or whatever, that the he had reached out to me and the civil engineer on the job and wanted us to kind of walk through the house. He kind of put it in a dickish way, to be quite honest. He had said like, you might be able to learn something, and that's kind of like the way the guy was. But I still was open to like take the walkthroughs through the house, and have the discussion with, and try to mend that fence. And it was one of these things that was like, he's telling us that we can learn something, but and I never even said this to him, but it's like there's a little he could learn from as well. And it just, I left that meeting and I was like, nah, this guy really didn't like, he's just kind of the way he is. So, but even, something like that could be a benefit, for a lot of people, is to kind of like open up to, to others that are, you know, whether it's, like I said, whether it's a disagreement, or or just, a belief system. Like I think there's just a lot of that in society today. It's like you can, heck, I was in this call this morning with, like a coaching call that I have, like in this, like, coaching group. And, there was somebody in the group had said that, they had started a, it's like a conservative website, and they actually had found that they can't do any ads to raise money, and let's just say in a more, traditional online sense, because of certain companies like a Google, or uh, Facebook, or something like they were like, it was just their beliefs didn't align with the beliefs with the Google and all that, and it was being, kind of censored in a way. So it's like if there's that environment, it's like, that's just not healthy as a society to have that. So hopefully, I'm hoping, just helped anybody out. I just, that was a very interesting, experience I had last week, and it just it real and made me realize, I'm like, hey, here's these two experiences that I've had, and I get it's one project and a very another possible project for me, and if I would have been a little bit like, no, I'm not talking to that person, he's a jerk or whatever, something like that, it's like, then there would have been two projects right there that I could have missed out on and not had, and you just never know where some of these things go, and if you can open yourself up to more opportunities, that's only going to benefit you. So yeah, so I'll leave it at that for today. Keep it nice and short. I think that was a good a good share, I hope. So, but yeah, again, I appreciate everybody who is checking this out, and please, let me know, give me some feedback, and comment below if you see this on a post, or again, if I believe if you listen to this directly in Anchor, there is a way you can send me a message, like an audio message on there, and I could potentially share that in a previous or in a future episode, like a Q&A type thing. So yeah, so I am going to leave it at that. So until next time, Rich the Rich the architect is signing off. All right, guys, see ya.